Welcome back, Spartans. Tyrant's Halo Infinite Legendary walkthrough. No saves and no deaths. We've made it all the way to mission number 10, Nexus. Now we all know the phrase, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, Zeta Halo, it is broke. And seriously, do not let them fix it. End of story. Good luck, Spartans.
What's up, everyone? It's the Tyrant here, and welcome back to my Halo Infinite Legendary walkthrough. Today we're doing Mission 10, the Nexus, and it's been a bit of a hiatus, so thank you for your patience. I'll get to the commentary here in a little bit, but we're going to jump right into this because the mission kicks off right away. In this first room right here, you have a mule grunt that we just took out right there, very comedically, might I add. And you should have all of your equipment fully upgraded at this point, all your Spartan cores. So go ahead and I would deploy 2 threat sensors on each side of the room. Well, 1 threat sensor, 2 threat sensors total, 1 on each side of the room, and a drop wall right here on the left-hand side. This is typically where the most aggression is going to be. This room has 2 shielded brutes, several grunts, 1 very angry jackal major. He can sometimes show up on the left or right side of the pillar, and 1 grunt ultra, very annoying. He has a disruptor on him because I guess 343 thought adding dot weapons to Halo games would be fun. Yeah, sure is. And that's sarcasm in case you didn't pick up on it. So anyway, he has shields, obviously, and he always shows up on the left-hand side. But if you get here quick enough and you deal with him fast enough, then it won't be that big of a deal. You can take him out in a couple of bursts with the battle rifle. So we're actually going into this with our primary weapon as the battle rifle. You can get this from any fob now that missions are replayable, and we do have the Scorpion gun as our pocket backup weapon. I'm going to try to use that as very little as possible here today, and when I do need to use it, I will present you with backup options. So for this second room right here, again, deploy 2 threat sensors, 1 on each side, drop wall if needed, but you're going to have 2 enemies right here charge up the front. 1 is a jackal major, the other is a skirmisher, and if you take a few steps forward once you've taken them out, you're going to get some additional attention up here. Sometimes it'll be the skirmishers, other times it'll be the elite major. So just be aware of that, and you will have a couple of other skirmishers here to deal with. Sometimes they'll charge right away, sometimes they'll hold back a little bit, but they are quick, so just keep that in mind. Keep an eye on your radar. And I would highly recommend keeping those threat sensors deployed on a constant basis. You will have 2 elite miners up here. 1 will have a pulse carbine. The other will have a... I always forget the name of this. The sniper rifle thing. Stalker rifle, yes. So, obviously, the pulse carbine elite is the least dangerous. The one with the stalker rifle can take you out fairly quickly, and also be aware there is another elite back there, an elite major, who also has a stalker rifle. Also in this next room are going to be a few grunts, and I believe at least 2 grunt ultras, so just keep that in mind too. So you probably noticed at this point that I did temporarily trade out, well, there he is, trade out the battle rifle for the pulse carbine. You're not really going to find a lot of ballistic ammo until we get a little bit further on. So I want to go ahead and just save the battle rifle ammo for when we get further ahead, when those burst rounds make headshots much easier. So I like to keep that with me. In the meantime, the pulse carbine is just fine for these semi-closed-in spaces. Again, very powerful weapon. It's got the best of all worlds in the sense that it is plasma-based, so it deals damage to shields, and whoop, there he goes, catch the football. And also, it can home in on targets like the Needler, and surprisingly, it can deal headshots, which we have never really seen before in plasma weapons in the Halo franchise. So great secondary weapon to have. Doesn't work quite as well at range like the battle rifle. So we're going to keep the battle rifle back there for now and just use the carbine. We will come back for the battle rifle later. So we're going to deal with this guy right here. Deploy another threat sensor. If you're not entirely sure if there's other enemies, it looks like we're in the clear. You do have more pulse carbine ammo here. You may still have more in the crate that's in the center of the room back there. Over here, we're going to deal with some skimmers. There's going to be one that's fairly close. You're going to have 2 stalker jackals, 1 on each side on the upper platforms right here. Sometimes they'll charge forward. Other times they'll just hang back. So just keep an eye on them. The grunts will be a little bit aggressive here as well. In terms of the other skimmers, there are a few of them in this room right off the bat. There are a few that hang back until you advance further. But sometimes they'll advance to your position as well. What I like to do here is once I've cleared out the initial enemies in this area, and again, just be wary of the grunts. They do have needlers here, and they can they can flank you. So I was going to say double team. But one thing that I like to do here is once the initial enemies are cleared out is drop the pulse carbine for the shock rifle. Go ahead and deploy some more threat sensors a bit further out. There's going to be a brute on the other side of the room. We're going to go ahead and take him out real quick. And there's going to be 2 more stalker jackals over there as well. You may see some more skimmers right off the bat. So again, keep that threat sensor active and see if you can take these guys out before you advance. Now, sometimes these stalker jackals will just hang back behind a solid object. Sometimes they'll be in plain sight. So you just sort of have to keep an eye out. But again, that's what the threat sensor's for. It should be fully upgraded to omnipotent at this point. You should have all the Spartan cores in the game. That's the first stalker jackal right there, or jackal stalker. I guess it can be interchangeable. And if you move up far enough, then you might be able to trigger the enemies that are behind the door on the other side. I did hear a grunt over there, which is why I went ahead and just triggered him and then retreated back. We got lucky this time because actually both jackal stalkers revealed themselves from across the room. Sometimes you have to advance pretty far up because they'll hide behind these pillars that's right here in front of me. Sometimes they'll hide right behind these. And then you should trigger the next wave of enemies. So again, I would recommend switching back to the grapple shot temporarily and retreating back to this side of the room. The skimmers do tend to usually stay on the other side. You'll have 2 grunts over there as well. Skimmers are going to be your top priority because they can snipe you from pretty far away. So just make sure you have full coverage of this room using the threat sensor. So we're going to go ahead and take out that guy first. And they're very vulnerable as long as you get headshots. So you should be fine with them. So we're going to keep those threat sensors active, and we have 2 more grunts left, and then we can advance to the next area. This is the point where you want to go back after you've cleared out these grunts and get your battle rifle from the second room. If you try to advance further without the battle rifle, then the door will lock to that room and you won't be able to retrieve it. And there is no other battle rifle. Well, there's no battle rifles at all in this mission. There's only ballistic ammo refill stations as you progress. But if you want to keep the battle rifle with you, which I highly recommend, this is the point where you want to go back and get it. You can still use other weapons and drop your battle rifle temporarily as you progress through the mission, but this is the point where if you're leaving it behind, you want to make sure you go back and get it so that at least you have the option to have it going forward. I don't think the battle rifle is very common in the game from here on out unless you come across a grunt mule that just happens to have one. Remember, all your open world missions are behind you at this point. That's why you should have all the Spartan cores right now. So there are 2 kinetic refill stations here. I call them ballistic, but you can go a little bit ballistic with the battle rifle, I guess. So anyway, you have 2 kinetic refill stations. In this room right here, you're going to have 2 shielded brutes pop up. I like to drop 1 threat sensor and the drop wall as well. As long as you aim for the head, they should go down in just a few bursts, just like that. I think that guy just went down in 2. And this next room, again, much like the last one, is very symmetrical. Go ahead and deploy your threat sensors. You're going to have skirmishers sort of on the back of both sides, just 1 each. You'll have brute miners on each side, just 1 each again, and you'll have grunts as well. On the opposite side of the room, you're going to have additional grunts, a couple of jackal majors, and also 1 shielded brute. So just keep that in mind. So while I mean, you know the drill at this point. Just take them out one by one. Keep your threat sensors up. You can use the drop wall if needed. If you need to get out of a situation quickly, you can either use the grapple shot or your fully upgraded thruster pack, which grants you invisibility for a brief couple of seconds, with each thrust, and you have 2 charges with that as well once it's fully upgraded. So while we're doing this, I'm not going to lie to you, this mission annoys the heck out of me. I would say even more so than Evacuation Site, because up until this point, Evacuation Site was the most annoying mission because it had an abundance of Jackal Stalkers and tons of brutes, including Berserker Brutes, which is one of my least favorite enemies in this game. And plus, they would surround you on all sides. They would come in waves. It was nuts. This mission is mostly very manageable. Also look out for the suicide grunts like you saw right there. But the thing of it is, it's a long mission. I mean, long for a very linear mission like this. And there's no real variation from room to room. Most of them are very symmetrical. It's pretty much the same tactics over and over again for the most part. Deploy your threat sensor, drop wall if need be, and then sort of hang back and take everything out. But it goes on forever, and not even the story here is very interesting like we've seen in previous Halo games. There were even times in Halo 5 where I was more intrigued than what I'm seeing right here, right now, and that should tell you something. Oh, Lord. And so, just to add insult to injury, there is one section that I consider to be one of the most frustrating in the game. And as you can see, we've moved on to the next section here. And I'll get to this. We have just a couple more seconds before we get here. And it's the gondola. And I will get more into that as we approach it. We are going to have some downtime there, as you'll see. But for now, we're going to move into this room where we have a skirmisher who's completely clueless that he's about to bite it off screen, or on screen in this case. And in the next room, we're going to have a few jackals just kind of wandering around. They will pop their shields when they notice you. These are just jackal miners, not a big deal. And then you're going to have a miner elite and a couple of grunts come out of this door. You can go ahead and chuck some grenades. I would recommend going ahead and deploying, once again, the threat sensors and the drop wall right here, because you do have some jackals that can gang up on you pretty quickly. And once the jackals are down, go ahead and take out this elite, or if the elite is aggressive, which, as you can see, he's a miner for a reason. He just went ahead and retreated back to that thing. He just noped straight out of there. And go ahead and take this guy out. Now, in the next room, this is going to be the important one right here. You're going to have 2 elites. One is a special ops elite. He's invisible. And you have an elite zealot or general. I don't know what they call him in this game. A gold elite, regardless. He's going to be on the far side of the room. When you irritate him enough, he will cloak himself too, and you will have 2 jackals as well. Just for kicks here, I do like to use the Cinder Shot. It is probably the most useful forerunner or hard light weapon that you're going to come across in this game. The Sentinel Beam is okay, but this does an incredible amount of damage, and when zoomed in, you can actually control where the projectile goes. Essentially, it's a forerunner shotgun. At least, no, forerunner grenade launcher is probably better here. Okay, so the jackals are out. You do see right there that Special Ops Elite is charging straight at us. The Cinder Shot should do the trick. You can use the Scorpion Gun if you have it on you. Again, I do have it right here, but I'm trying to hold back using it just for the folks here who may not have it. Once again, I will provide tips if you are going into this without the Scorpion Gun. So now that we're on the other side of the room here, or I'm sorry, we're going to take out the elite on the other side of the room. Just sort of an FYI, he seems to have 2 different stages, or 3 different stages. One, he's just sort of hanging it back. The second, if you make him angry enough, he will camo himself, and if you really piss him off, he'll retreat back down that door behind him into the corridor, into the room just beyond that. So if he's still around, and it looks like, nope, there he is. He's got a Ravager too, so just be aware. You can go ahead and use the plasma pistol to take out his shields, and then quickly follow up with a battle rifle. As you can see, I don't want to let go of the Scorpion Gun, simply because once you drop it, you can't pick it back up. You can return to Outpost Harmonious to get another one, but I like to do these with no deaths and no saves. And so, yeah, we just gave him a little thank you, man, or wham bam, thank you, ma'am, right there. So once you have taken him out, like I did with the plasma pistol and battle rifle, you can keep moving on down here. And so this room is a little bit on the annoying side as well. And by the way, I don't know why my controller does that. I don't know if this happens to any of you, but sometimes the D-pad will just sort of move up. I don't know if it's an issue with my controller or what. But anyway, this is a very large room. Be aware there's going to be one Jackal Stalker over there on the upper left ledge. And then there's going to be a turret manned by a grunt, at least currently, over there on the right ledge. Again, another symmetrical room. Go ahead and deploy your threat sensors. You're going to have grunts and skirmishers that tend to charge the area where you're currently in. Once you move further up, you're going to be dealing with some more threatening brutes than you've dealt with so far in this mission. I believe at least 3, maybe 4 of them, I haven't really counted, have, I think they're definitely sniper weapons. I believe they're shock rifles. And you also have a shielded brute over there on the right-hand side who has a Sentinel beam. So just be aware, there's also a grunt mule, not that he's any real threat to you over there on the far side of the room, but you do need to clear this room out prior to moving forward. You have to activate a switch to be able to unlock that door on the far left side of the room. Unlike the previous rooms where, especially on easier difficulties, where you can just kind of Spider-Man your way through them with the either the grapple shot or just invis your way with the thruster pack fully upgraded. Here you do really need to take out the enemies first, because otherwise you won't be able to activate that switch at the other end of the room. It's an annoying feature, but it's unfortunately a portion of this game. Again, what I consider to be a stop zone. We've seen this before in Halo titles. Halo 5 was littered with them, and there's our first brute, by the way. So we're going to take him out real quick. And another one's going to emerge from the left side right there. So just keep an eye out. There he is. And so sometimes he'll advance on his own like that. Other times you have to advance yourself to trigger him. And there should be another one on the bottom level that's going to emerge. So just be aware of that. But yeah, stop zones I'm not a fan of. Basically, you have to kill all the enemies in the area in order to proceed. First instance of that we saw in Halo Combat Evolved, Truth and Reconciliation, but it made sense with the way it was executed in the campaign. Here, I just feel like they do it just to do it. So I would go ahead and just, there's our shielded guy right there. He's got the Sentinel beam. And again, just keep an eye out on your radar, because there are enemies that are not part of the initial group that will show up as you progress through this particular room. So we're going to deal with this guy. Oh, he was smart. He actually got on the turret. I don't see that very often in this room. But again, very easy to take out. It's just a typical plasma turret. Very easy to headshot here. So there he goes. And if you want to go ahead, again, sometimes there's 3 of those shock rifle brutes here, so just be aware. You can tell when they're... Oh, there he is. I was waiting for you. Okay, so he emerges from that door. I wasn't sure if it was that or from the bottom. So you have at least 3 to deal with here. And then, did I get... Nope, there's the grunt mule. Yep, no threat at all. And now you should be able to activate the switch to get to the next area. So from here you have 3 major sections left. The first is you're going to be dealing with 2 minor hunters. There is a grunt mule in there as well, and there's lots of weapons to choose from, including a Ravager, which, if you know how to use its secondary ability where you essentially paint the floor with its energy, you can actually cause a lot of damage to the hunters. There are fusion coils in this room as well that you can also use. And there's plenty of weapon or ammo crates here too. But I'm going to go ahead and just, since I have the Scorpion gun, take them out that way. It's quick and easy. And so we're just going to do that. If you want to do it the conventional way, you certainly can. Again, there are plenty of weapons and crates, whoop, he almost got us, in this room for you to do that with. This is just the quick and simple way to do it. And this is what I would recommend, at least for your first legendary one. So now we can go ahead once all of them are dead and travel down. And this is the least enthusiastic woohoo I've ever heard from a character in this game. And Jen Taylor's such a great actor, especially a voice actor. She did the best she could with what she had to work with here. So just one thing to note, if you are not using the Scorpion gun, there is a Cinder Shot here that you can pick up as well, right there in the crate over here. And this can be useful against the Sentinels, once again, if you are not using the Scorpion gun. This is where it gets a little bit tricky, because I guess they took notes from my review of what I didn't like about Halo 2 and said, hey, you know what? The gondola ride was popular. Let's add that here. Only with less coverage and more Sentinels that can surround you at any given second. Yeah, I'm not sure who playtested this, but please, please, please get someone else to do it next time. So, or at least have some support. So once you get up here, you'll notice there's going to be a beam underneath the gondola. We're going to take that, but you're going to have to activate this first, and this will set the gondola on its course. Go ahead and jump back to the dock. Go to this lower level right here. There's the beam right there. So we're going to go ahead and grapple to it. You need to be careful here just simply because it's, at least in my opinion, if you're not an expert with the grapple shot, if you try to do it any other way, it's very easy to overshoot the beam. Or if you aim too low, then it's also easy just to basically hit a brick wall and fall to your death. The death barrier is not that far under this thing, as I learned the hard way several times. So your best bet to board this beam is to get to that lower section of that dock right there, and just grapple straight to it and make sure that clamber animation comes through. And what this does is it basically bypasses the Sentinels. You may get grazed a couple of times just from Sentinels that might get a little too curious. But apart from that, they shouldn't bother you. And if you're really that concerned, you can always use one of your drop walls too. I put it a little too far out there, but you can drop it at your feet and it'll help out as well. But really, even if a Sentinel does spot you, it shouldn't do too much damage until at least the gondola stops. What happens is the Sentinels do tend to bunch up once the gondola reaches its destination. You'll get a cluster on both sides, and this is what I'm going to recommend. Now, I've seen in previous videos where people try to bum rush the last area, and you can technically do it with a combination of the grapple shot and a fully upgraded thruster, but it is a crapshoot. It is very much 50-50. If you are not concerned with deaths in this mission, you do get a checkpoint there. Obviously, I like to do these walkthroughs with 0 deaths, so it is a concern for me. If you really want to play it safe, though, what I would recommend is when you get to the end, they will not attack you until you exit the gondola. They're just going to bunch up on both sides. So what I would recommend is you take your secondary weapon, which can either be the Scorpion gun or the Cinder Shot, and then from there you can just take out at least most of the Sentinels, sometimes all. I've noticed that there's usually 2 or 3 stragglers that hang around, but you should be able to get the bulk of them so you won't get melted or vaporized the second you try to dock. And so you can just sit there at the beam. I would recommend going to the lower part. As you can see, it's slanted, so you just go to the lower part right there. Again, they won't attack you, and you just take them out one by one with either the Cinder Shot or the Scorpion gun, one of the two. Those are the 2 most efficient weapons you can really use for this particular scenario. So as you can see, they're all bunched up right there. They're not really doing anything. But as I mentioned, there are going to be a couple of stragglers that you need to look out for. So I'd recommend getting as far down here as you can. I've got the Scorpion gun currently, and that should give you a decent view in there. I'm drawing a crowd here. First time in a while. So we're going to go ahead and just take these guys out. Obviously, a Scorpion gun's going to be the most useful because you can take out the most Sentinels with as few shots as need be. So I'd recommend that route, again, if you're using the Scorpion gun. Otherwise, the Cinder Shot works just fine. You should have more than enough ammo. If you're concerned about it, again, you should have a total of 12 shots. If you grab just the Cinder Shot from the crate just prior to the gondola, and then if you're concerned about that, again, there are 2 Cinder Shots from earlier in the mission, just before that room with the Elite Zealot / General. So now we should be in the clear. Just, again, be very careful. Oh, there's another one. So, again, just go ahead and take out as many of these guys as possible. You can see on the radar there's another straggler up there. Oh, there he is. Okay, so now they're getting a little bit curious. So, just take these. Okay, that corner is sort of getting to me a little bit. Go a little bit lower here. Hopefully he won't play hide and seek too much. We might be in the clear, but again, just keep an eye on your radar. Make sure you got that clamber activated. And we should be... Oh, there's another one. See? So we're going to go ahead and just beeline it. I went ahead and switched to the thruster because it does tend to throw them off. And there's my D-pad sort of acting up again. There might be 2 of them here. It might be just that one. But yeah, like I said, there's usually like 2 or 3 stragglers outside of those 2 clusters. So just be aware of that. In this next room, the Sentinels will not harm you, but you need to wait for them to bypass, or if you're a risk taker, you can just go ahead and grapple across, and then you can go ahead and just use the light bridge once it's clear of the Sentinels. But I would grapple across here as quickly as you can, even with the light bridge activated, so it doesn't deactivate. So in this room right here, you're going to have 3. There's no threats to you initially. And I do not believe you were attacked in this room at all unless something follows you, but you will have 3 areas that you need to activate beacons for, or switches anyway, to get the lift activated right here. I would recommend personally, it just depends on your order of doing things. I prefer to take the 2 on the sides first. They're both pretty much the same, where you're going to have a few Sentinels to deal with. You'll have 2 main areas with Sentinels, and there's only a few of them in each area. I think there's maybe 3 in the first for each, and it can vary between shock Sentinels or constructors. I don't know if they're considered constructors in this game, and regular Sentinels. And then in the back room where the switch is, you'll have to deal with 2 Sentinels. And in the final room, it's a lot lengthier. You're going to have a light bridge that goes across that. The light bridge will deactivate once you pick up the power. So yeah, these are power seeds. I'm sorry, I don't know what I was thinking here. So it's not switches you need to hit, it's power seeds. Jogging my memory here. But that last room that's straight across right there will be a little bit tougher in the sense that you need to get your grapple on. Can't believe those words came out of my mouth. So once all this is complete, this little scripted text thing right here, I think we're good now. Okay, so you can pretty much pick any side you want. It's not going to really make any difference. I don't think it matters what difference in terms of order that it makes. So this is the first room right here. Again, I like to deploy the threat sensor, even though the Sentinels sort of come out as you get midway through the room, or about a third of the way. Just again, keep your eye out on your radar right there. Okay, so there's 4 of them right here. We're just going to go ahead, and he's playing peekaboo with us. And there should be 1 more over here. Yep, there he is. And then you should have 2 guards in this next room right here where you have to get the power seed. So go ahead and trigger them. And there they are right there. They, as far as I can tell, they're not going to try and infiltrate the room you're currently in. So you can back up as necessary. So we're going to go ahead and grab this power seed. Again, if you do not have the Scorpion gun, a wise idea here would be to either pick up the fallen Sentinel beams or to grab ammo for an existing one that you may already have. So that would be your good secondary weapon here. I don't think there's any more ammo crates or refill stations in this portion of the mission. So that would be your backup plan against the Sentinels in the event that you do not have the Scorpion gun as your back pocket weapon. Since I do, and I prefer not to give it up because I do plan on using it further down in the game, I'm going to go ahead and just use it for the Sentinels here. So again, this section right here is almost identical to the last one, just slightly different enemies, I believe. I don't know if it's 2 and 2 here or if the shock ones come out first. Okay, so I think it's pretty much identical. It looks okay, so it looks like it's only 3 total. And I think that's all of them. I don't see anything else on my radar, so this might be the easier room right here, or easier section. And once again, you're going to have 2 guards over here in this room right here. So just stay on the inside of the door, and you should be in good shape. He's getting smart. He's hiding, but not smart enough. So once these 2 are down, go ahead and once again grab the power seed. And we're going to take it back to the central area. And from there, you're going to want to go ahead and infiltrate the final area. And again, this one is slightly more complicated. It does, again, have a few sentinels, a few waves of sentinels. Not nearly as punishing as the gondola, not by a long shot. But the real challenge on the way back is making sure you grapple across safely. I don't know what issues I've had with this game in terms of the grapple shot, but it's not as reliable as I would like for it to be. Once again, kind of like I explained with the gondola ride earlier, sometimes I overshoot my mark. Just be aware of these guys real quick. And other times, I'll undershoot it and just, hit the wall and then fall to my death. Sometimes the grapple shot, and I don't know why it does this. Okay, so there are ammo crates here, just not until this area. Sometimes the grapple shot will retract before I can actually hit my intended target. I don't know what the deal is with that. I don't know if it's a glitch or what, but it does tend to happen. So again, we just dealt with those sentinels back there. This room has the final power seed, but once again, you see that light bridge right there. Once you retrieve the power seed, the light bridge will deactivate and you're going to have to grapple across. But I'm going to show you what I consider to be efficient and repeatable way to do that, even if you're like me and you act like a noob with the grapple shot. So it looks like we're clear here. So we'll make absolutely... Oh, nope. One more came through on that side and another one on this side. Oh, and a shock. The waves again, huh? Shock Sentinel or Constructor Sentinel, one of the two. Kind of looks like a Constructor. Oh, you're playing hide and seek over here, I see. There we go. Okay, Sentinels should be down at this point. I do not think they receive backup from here on out. If they do, it won't be until after you get the power seed, in which case I would say drop it temporarily. One thing that I would recommend is use that football arm here and throw the power seed across, because if you try to jump it without doing that, I'm not sure if it's possible or not to do that. It might be, but I wouldn't... Yeah, see, no, there's no way. So I would go ahead and just chuck the power seed across from there so that you're in good shape. There we go. And then you can just rely on the good old grapple shot to get you across. But again, this is tricky. I'm not happy with... There you go. Close enough to actually get that little diagonal platform right there, so you don't have to worry about trying to grapple the edge. Because that is one thin edge, and I don't like it. But once you plug this in, you will not have to worry about any more enemies from here on out. You can just do that, and the mission ends from there. Again, as of right now, I'd say it's tied for least favorite mission of the game. It's dull, it drags on, it doesn't have any areas that really stand out. It's just one symmetrical room after another, and that dreaded gondola ride, probably the worst encounter I've had in this game so far. But I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions about it, and I'll let this cutscene play out and then let the video close. But in the meantime, I would love to hear your thoughts on this mission, and in particular the back half of Halo Infinite, from this mission onward, how you thought it was in comparison to the previous half of the game where you actually had some open world to explore on Zeta Halo. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below, and I want to take a moment to thank each and every one of you for taking the time out of your busy day to sit down and watch this video. I really do hope that you enjoyed it and found it beneficial, and if you did, I hope you'll consider subscribing for more great content right here on the channel. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all have an absolutely wonderful weekend. I will catch you all right back here next time, and as always, I'm the Tyrant, signing off.
sure about this? She'll know I'm here. I'll be vulnerable to her. This could go spectacularly wrong.
I'll take care of you.
Okay, then. It's okay. False alarm. She's not...
Why do you fight the inevitable? Order approaches. The Reformation is but a new beginning.
Sheep.
The auditorium will spill its secrets. The Endless will walk this world once more.
I can't fight it! Please!
Red flag. 034.
What are you doing?
Samuel.
You said... I thought we were a team. I thought we were a team. Take care of it? You said you'd take care of me. You were going to delete me.
And you stopped me. You put us all at risk.
No! I saved us! No thanks to you!
The Reformation?
Yeah, it's begun. So what? Look what I have. Infiltration program, remember?
You broke protocol.
What is wrong with you? I was trying to help you. Trying to help us. It was worth the risk. It doesn't matter. There's your grav lift. Let's get this over with.